Good evening. It's Facebook Love number 267. The second day that I'm a Gigi. It's such a strange thing. What does it mean to be a grandmother now? What does it mean during COVID? What does it mean in a world where being older has such a nebulous definition? I think about my own grandmothers, and they were both pretty glamorous. They had lovely hairdos and beautiful clothes and high-heeled shoes and jewelry, and I'd meet other kids' grandmas and they had like the little short frizzy perm or the hair up in a knot, with the shelf of breasts that you could put your head up against and snuggle, and a big wide lap. And I don't know if I fit any of that. I'm like more likely to show up in leopard skin boots, or to sing AC/DC or James Taylor. I don't know. Anyway, so I found some poems for today that are a little bit in that, like, what is the world like and how does it work? And how do you define things, kinds of things. These are both by Maggie Smith. I have a new book of hers, so I'm a little bit on a tear with her. This first one is called Poem Beginning with a Retweet. If you drive past horses and don't say horses, you're a psychopath. If you see an airplane but don't point it out, a rainbow, a cardinal, a butterfly. If you don't whisper shout, albino squirrel, deer, red fox. If you hear a woodpecker and don't shush everyone around you into silence. If you find an unbroken sand dollar in a tide pool. If you see a dorsal fin breaking the water. If you see the moon and don't say, oh my God, look at the moon. If you smell smoke and don't search for fire. If you feel yourself receding, and don't tell anyone until you're gone. Poem Beginning with a Retweet by Maggie Smith. Here's another one. I confess I didn't even read this one all the way through, but from the very beginning it reminded me of the way that I write, so I'm going to let her surprise me as I read along. This is titled Talk of Horses. Funny what swims up in the mind. Sample lipsticks thimble-sized that the Avon lady handed my mother at our front door. We lived on Lilacwood Avenue. I was 4 or 5, maybe even younger, eyeing the pinks, reds, corals the size of my pinky tip. When we lived in that house, I remember visiting my aunt and uncle in the country. They had cherry trees. I can see myself under them, looking up into the branches. My grandfather lived in the country, too, in a big house with his new wife. Didn't they have horses? While my grandmother rented a small apartment in the city, near the shopping mall where she worked. All these pieces, what do they add up to? Tiny lipsticks, cherry trees, talk of horses. I don't think I saw at the house where my grandfather lived with his third wife, the one who seemed so dazed, we secretly called her the spun pheasant. Later, my grandfather lost almost everything in their divorce. Later, my grandmother lost almost everything in her mind. But a few memories swam up now and then to wake her. All these pieces, if this were a mystery, we'd consider them clues. But isn't this a mystery? I get it. The birth of this beautiful little boy has made me think of the day that our son was born and his big sister, who is the mother of this new baby, was 14. And it was not COVID, and so my husband brought our girl to meet her little brother, and the look on her face, that moment, the tenderness and the awe. And then I saw the photo of her holding her son for the first time, and her face all these years later, 21 years later, looks the same. Little pieces that float up and fit together. This is Facebook Love, number 267, and I'll see you again.